Hey y'all, so we are looking at Unit 2. It is the first lesson. This unit is going to run August 26th to September 6th. The first part of this lesson today, we're going to talk about the physical characteristics. So our goals are to look at the Earth's layers, to be able to know the difference between each layer. We want to look at renewable and non-renewable waste resources, climate. What is climate? How it affects people, plants, and animals, how latitude plays a part in climate, and basically what is climate and why do we care about climate. So the first thing we want to look at, you can see when you read through the lesson, you've got some vocabulary. We're looking at the crust, the mantle, the core, the asthenosphere, and permafrost, which is frozen soil. We'll go more in depth with the layers of the Earth, but I just want you to take a quick visual of this so as we talk through it, you can kind of see what we're talking about. The crust, it's the outer layer. It is thin. There is continental crust. There is oceanic crust. And then if we take the crust, which is the outer layer, and we take the very top layer of the mantle, we have what is called the lithosphere. You can see that in the picture. So we have two types of crust, oceanic and continental. And you can see from the picture the oceanic crust is much thinner than the continental. And then if we take the mantle, you can see there the upper mantle has those three little layers to it. If we take that top gray layer and combine it with the crust, we have what is called the lithosphere. So it's the crust, upper mantle equals the lithosphere. Speaking of mantle, let's go down into the mantle. The mantle obviously has parts of the lithosphere because that's the crust in the upper mantle. Then we have the upper mantle, lower mantle, and the asthenosphere. So the lower mantle, let's start in our picture at the lower mantle. The lower mantle is going to be the hottest because we're getting closer to the center of the Earth. Lower mantle is the hottest layer of the mantle. It is also solid rock. Let's move up a layer to the upper mantle. Still solid rock. It's between the lower mantle and the asthenosphere. Speaking of the asthenosphere, it's the semi-solid. So it's kind of an amorphous solid. It's got properties of both a solid and a liquid. Like if you squeeze it, like that goo you used to make, you squeeze it and it's hard. And then if you take the pressure off of it, it's kind of liquidy. That's what the asthenosphere is like. And then we have the lithosphere, which is made up of the crust and the upper mantle. So go ahead and take a little visual of that. And we will move right along. So we've gone from the crust to the mantle. Now we're into the core. There are two layers of the core. There's the inner core, which is all the way on the inside. It is solid from all that pressure, made up of iron and nickel. The outer core is more molten, made of iron, but also sulfur. So the inner core is solid. Think of all the pressure that's on it. The outer core is more liquid. For those of you who are more of picture people and learn with a chart, you can see here, we've got the crust again with the mantle and the core. If we take the crust in the upper part of the mantle, we've got the lithosphere. The upper part of the mantle is the asthenosphere. Then we've got the outer core followed by the inner core. And you can kind of see the thickness of it, the mantle being the thickest layer of them. And the core, obviously, the inner core being the hottest layer. Okay, so let's step onto the crust of the Earth and look at the climate. That would be the atmosphere all around you. Climate is the average weather over a long period of time. So we're not looking at day to day, we're looking over time. Your location will affect the climate. Think about if you're in Alaska versus Florida. How high or low you are above sea level. Obviously, the higher you are above sea level on a mountain, it's going to be cooler than if you're down at sea level. We're going to look at air currents and how they bring the warmer air to an area and how close we are to a body of water. All those things will affect your climate. But again, climate is looking at the weather over a long period of time. So temperature and precipitation over long times. So I want you to think about how climate affects you personally. Some things you might be thinking of are your economic choices. What things can you do? How can you spend your money? Are you going skiing? Are you buying boats? Are you going to the beach? How are you getting there? Are you using ski lifts? Can you use water skis? Can you do convertibles? Do you need cars with good heat pumping through it? Can you do a lot of bike riding? What activities can you do and what clothing must you wear to do these activities? Your climate influences all those. Think about when you're going on a trip. If you're going to the beach, you're going to do things that are different than what you would do in Alaska. You're going to wear clothes in Colombia differently than you would wear clothes if you were in Antarctica. So just think about a trip and how the climate affects your trip. What you can do, what you're eating, what you're wearing. So I want you to think now, how would your life change if you lived in another climate? Before you go to that other climate, let's figure out what climate you are in and where you are going. So you can look at this map, can find us over in Georgia and see that we kind of have a subtropical climate. You can see we've got all the elements of a map that we need to tell about the different types of climate zones. How are climate and latitude connected? Well, lines of latitude are the ones that run east and west and measure north and south. So the closer your line of latitude is to the equator, the warmer you will be. For instance, people in that red area are from the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn are going to have a much warmer climate than the people in the blue areas up near the Arctic Circle. So you go up to 90 degrees north, you are going to be much colder than if you were at 12 degrees north. Let's look at this map. Let's look at the climate on this map where you live. We have a temperate climate. We have cold winters and mild summers. Find another place you'd like to travel to in the world right now and take a look at what their climate is. You see the more deserts have arid climates. The ones near, look at the Mediterranean Ocean, you've got more Mediterranean climates. Think about what you know about natural resources. The word kind of says it all. Natural resources. So they're made in nature and they're things we can use. Things made in nature we can use: air, water, coal, petroleum, forests. The thing we want to think about now, so we know it's natural resources, resources from nature. We've got renewable ones. Those are ones we can renew. If you renew your magazine subscription, you get it over and over and over. You renew these resources, you can get them over and over and over. Non-renewable, once they're gone, they're gone. So the renewable ones are air, wind, water, soil, plants. The ones we can't get any more of, once they're gone, they're gone. Fossil fuels, oil, coal. It takes thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years to get any more of those. So if we use them up in our lifetime, we're pretty much done. So here are the main highlights for today. We talked about the landforms and how water and all of that affects climate. We talked about the Earth's layers, the core, the mantle, the crust. We talked about what climate is, the natural resources, what they are, and the difference between renewable and non-renewable. And that is the lesson in a quick overview. Now you can go ahead and jump into your Canvas. You can click on modules. Go ahead and click Unit 2. This is Physical Geography Part 1. And I want you to click Lesson 9 for today, Physical Characteristics. Thanks for joining us.